Did you hear my covert narcissism? I disguise as altruism like some kind of congressman. I'll wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, and life will lose all its meaning. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Anti-time. Everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti.
What's up, people? Welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestle Update. I am your host, Dylan Fox, as always joined by my good friend and yours, Nello de Angelis. We are here covering the biggest show of the year for All Elite Wrestling, All In 2025. I gotta tell you, Nello, I usually always start off saying, man, how are you feeling about the show? What was your vibes going into it? What was your vibe check? I'm here to tell you right now, I was so hyped going into this show that I couldn't wait for it to start. And I'm not trying to be like fanboying out or anything like that, but the way they set out multiple storylines heading into the show, like how they've handled things on Dynamite leading into it, I really felt like, okay, like AEW is about to reach their apex. Like that's how I was feeling going into the show. We're going to talk about the show and review it, of course. But I was so hyped for this show, brother. And I'm so happy that we're here to talk about it. This was probably the most excited I've been going into an AEW show since we've been doing the show. But other than that, how has your week been going, man? Were you as excited as me going into this right now? Because I was like so ready for anticipation.
Oh yeah, I was very hyped for the show. For multiple reasons, I haven't had much of a social life lately, so I was very excited to just go over to a friend's barbecue, watch a 7-hour wrestling show. This was our Big Egg Wrestling universe, straight out of Arlington, Texas. But I was very hyped, and I stayed hyped throughout Mojo Rawley style.
Yes. This past week we were talking about it off the air. I actually did compete in a Mortal Kombat 1 tournament this past week. Came in second place. I made the final round. Unfortunately, I got matched up against another Noob Saibot player. And I was very sad because we looked so similar as characters. It didn't really work. I was the only person to beat him in the entire tournament for a round, but unfortunately he came storming back and I couldn't get the win, but he was super skilled. He showed me love afterwards and I was hype about that too.
Yeah, I'd give the fight a 4.5 stars.
It was epic. I mean, like I said, it was a close battle. It went 2-1 me for the first game because even in the fights it's 2 out of 3, but we did 2 out of 3 of the 2 out of 3 fights. So it went 2-1 me. He blitzed me in the second round. He was like, all right, like he told me afterwards that I was the first one to make him sweat. And he showed it in the second game because he beat my ass like that second round. The third round, I got on my footing again and it was a 2-1 win for him. So I did push it to the final moments pretty much. It wasn't epic. It was like a Zack Sabre versus Hiroki Goto type of match that we had. But coming in off of that, I had actually watched the go home shows with my sister. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with Cheyenne. She's been on the show before. Now, she's not a big weekly viewer, and especially not any kind of AEW fan. But she returned only due to the fact that Kota Ibushi came back. That's her favorite wrestler. She's like, he has a huge crush on him and will follow him wherever he goes. So when I told her Ibushi's back, she had to watch. So that was a lot of fun. I told you to, and the reason why I couldn't watch the pre-show, I was at my grandpa Ken's funeral. I talked about him on the prior episode. Rest in peace to Ken. He's doing some big things up in the big wrestling ring up in the sky, big locker room up in the sky. Maybe watching this show as well. But I was at his funeral. They had a barbecue lunch there as well. You knew if there was any doubt that I was from Memphis, Tennessee. That proved it right there, which I did show Nello a picture of as well, because I was so surprised by it. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting this at all. But that's how Ken would have wanted it. Shout out to him. But that's why it ended like right as All In was starting. So I didn't see anything of the pre-show. Did you?
No. So like when I got to my friends, I got there and like I literally just saw the Rizzler, and then
That's all you needed to see, really.
yep, and then FTR and Outrunners came out, and I was like, all right, guys, let's smoke. And we smoked, and then came in for the main show. So no, I did not see the pre-show. I got a text. So my friend Wendy, shout out Wendy, was at the show.
Shout out Wendy. Okay.
And dude, okay, so after the show, Wendy was gifted a VIP pass to go to the after party. And then at the after party, their ticket was called to be part of a Family Feud event where they participated with Priscilla Kelly, and they won ringside tickets to All Out. So
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
So
Hell
sick.
yeah.
So sick.
Yeah.
Wendy, get that passport, baby. Let's go to All Out. Let's go, brother.
Badass. Yeah, I love it. Shout out to Wendy, Family Feud, all of them.
Yep.
Priscilla Kelly. Yeah.
I love wrestling. I love Friends.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, but yeah, no, I did. That's all to say I did not catch the pre-show, and I love Wendy. So, yeah. Did you go back and watch any of the pre-show, or did anything incentivize you to really check it out?
No, to be honest with you. Have you seen their first match, the Outrunners and FTR? They had on Collision, which got a lot of rave reviews.
No. I did watch Dynamite this week, but I did not watch Collision. Did you get a chance to check it out?
Yeah, I did, to be honest. And it was, like, by far... Usually, to me, the Outrunners are not a great tag team, to be honest. But I thought their match on Collision, that was from July 5th, it said here. That match was really good. Like, by far, the Outrunners' best match, and one of the FTR's best that I've seen in a long time. But otherwise, I didn't need to see the rematch. I've heard it wasn't as good as the first one, and I kind of figured that. Big shout out to Big Boom AJ, Big Justice, the Rizzler, all coming through again.
Stone Pitbull Jr.
That's right. That picture. Very happy to see the conglomeration back in action as well in general. Even though Ishii should be in the G1 for the record, but instead he's here. But still doing some good things with his time.
Okay, do you think that which promotion do you think Ishii enjoys more? Like, if he had the choice between doing a G1 or an American excursion where he hangs out with Riz, what do you think he's like? What do you think he was jonesing for?
It had to be hanging out with Riz. Not just because of that, but because of the US dollar is that is probably what he really is motivated by most, more than being in Japan right now. But you know, it's good to see him. I love seeing him. Obviously, it's awesome. You get these moments like that we wouldn't get if he were in the G1 with Rizzler and all of this. But I think that it's good that he got a moment here, at least in this 29,000 seat stadium show at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. More Japanese references as the show went along. But I'll throw it to you again. You know, you were hyped. You went over to your friend's house. Wendy scored free stuff all over the place at the show live. Like, I could feel that you were hyped going into it. So when we finally got there, the show started, and they said, look, we are going to start off with the Ops. Katsuya Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Samoa Joe. They took on the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, and Gabe Kidd. So this Gabe Kidd thing, if you are a listener to my Japanese-based show, Eastern Lariat, you will know how much controversy has spawned from Gabe being in AEW among Japanese New Japan fans. We're witnessing one of the great turns on someone of all time, thanks to him joining the Death Riders in AEW.
It's like CM Punk is to Saudi Arabia, or Saudi Arabia is to CM Punk, as AEW is to Gabe Kidd. It's like, brother, you were flying that flag. How are you here now? How are you taking Tony Khan's money?
Yeah, the native fans were not happy about the king of strong style, which was he's kind of positioning himself as his gimmick. The lion mark was not that strong. In Game Kid, as it turns out, he also wanted money, and he took this, and a lot of people don't like it. But he was here, teaming with Yuta and Claudio. They've done constant situations where the ops have combated the Death Riders in the past, so they have built that up pretty well on the TV heading into this. There was great heat for Yuta. At the start, he was the guy that the fans always turn on the most and everything like that. We got some meat chants when Hobbs and Claudio went at it. And they did some good action back and forth. Like I said, Yuta was kind of in his Dominic role, where he was more there to be a shit stirrer than wrestle. But he got great heat. Hobbs got a lot of spotlight doing some power stuff going in there, including a spot where they tried to do the Doomsday device, but Hobbs caught Yuta in the air and hit a suplex off of him like the Steiner brothers from the Doomsday position. Really cool spot. Shibata came in, wrecked some stuff. They kind of paired off Joe with Gabe Kidd, and in the end, Yuta got in, Joe was in. Joe hit the muscle buster on Yuta. Big pop from the crowd. Good opener. What'd you think?
I liked this a lot more than the inmates did. I thought this was a really good opener. Great action. The exchanges between Shibata and Kidd, Shibata is forever one of my favorite wrestlers, and he looked really great here. Him a lot of cool sequences. I thought the uppercut striking contest with Claudio, the chops, the contest with Gabe Kidd. I liked the sequence where him and Gabe were both laid out and then they did the sit up at the same time. Thought everyone looked great here, honestly. Everyone was brought to their strengths. There was some good near falls. And I thought that this was a very satisfying opener. I'd go 7 out of 10 on this. This was exactly what it needed to be. And I was really happy that the ops went over, because I thought that with the addition of Gabe Kidd, maybe they will give it back to the Death Riders or something, right? You never know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why do you think people were down on this match? And last time I checked Cage Match, it was a 6.06, which I wouldn't say is terrible, but it's it's almost like a non-response to the match.
I think a big part of that is so much happened on this show that it kind of got lost in the shuffle. I think a lot of people might not have even remembered this match by the end that much, because there were so many matches. Every one of them was 20 minutes almost. And this was in the opening spot. But if you look at the match on its own, I really agree with you. I thought it was a very good opener. They put over the people they should have, whether it was Hobbs or Kidd on each team's. And in the end, the ops looked strong. I thought it would have said a lot if the Death Riders had won about the main event. So I was very happy that the ops won, because it signaled that they wouldn't go with a clean sweep and just kind of restart the Death Riders. But I thought it was a really good match. Like you said, everybody did good stuff. This was definitely a solid opener, rock solid stuff here. I agree with you, a 7 out of 10 for the match itself. Yeah, like you said, 6.06 rating on Cage Match. But I think a lot of that is 3 stars is like the gentleman's rating, right? If you don't have that many strong thoughts on it, you just give it that 6 out of 10 rating and move on with your life. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people did, in my opinion. Afterwards, the Death Riders attacked everybody. Yuta smashed Hobbs with a chair. Claudio put the chair around Samoa Joe's neck, and then Pillmanized the chair around his neck. And the first of multiple stretcher jobs on this show. That I guess this one explained why he wasn't around in the main event. But I do think to do the same thing twice in the opener and the main event was a little uncreative, in my opinion. I wish they had done a different way of taking Joe out compared to Ospreay in the main event, in my opinion. So a couple of questions before we move on. What do you think, because this was something that had controversy at the start of the show, what do you think of the idea of AEW doing this show in Texas after doing it in England the last 2 years and already announcing they're going back to London next year? What do you think about them doing it in Texas as their choice after there was some booking concerns with Taylor Swift concerts going on? They couldn't get the date they wanted, so they moved it up to Texas. What did you think of the Arlington, crowd and the arena as a choice?
Crowd was great. Arena looked full. And really nice. There were 4 shows this weekend, and I guarantee you that none of the shows are going to look as packed and good as All In did this week. Texas was a smart move. They've had some great success there, especially with the residencies that they did. I think in Arlington before, or Dallas. I really can't remember, but and Texas is a pretty good. Like a Texas, a California, those are places where you can get a lot of people to travel in. So I didn't look at this as like some local fan base because, we all had friends who went to the show, and it's like a lot of people I think were able to just fly out for this one. It's an accessible airport, all that stuff to fly in. So it was a smart move, I think, shake it up a little bit. And Cowboys, Hangman might not be from Texas, but goddamn if Cowboys aren't. So
yeah, that's right.
The setting of Hangman winning the world title in Texas, I think, hits harder than if he would have won it in the UK, right? And I think that when they go back to the UK next year, maybe that's when they coronate Ospreay, and that's going to matter, on the same level, where it's going to be like that hometown feeling crowd for the local hero, right?
I wasn't a fan of them going back to London, to be honest. I thought the first one was a good idea. I thought the second one should have been somewhere different, and you saw, because you knew it was going to get compared to the first one, and it was never, ever going to be able to live up to that. So I'm glad they got out of there for a year. I would have even gone back next year. No offense to London. It's nothing against that. It's that I'm just not in favor of doing the same place over and over for your biggest show. And obviously we know he's a fan of that. Tony Khan is with All Out always being in Chicago, so to speak, and all of that.
All Out's in Toronto, though, this year. So he's been switching it up this year.
That's what I like seeing. And I'm glad that they are doing that, because I think it makes things a lot better to do it that way. One other thing I think that this was a benefit to is other companies making this kind of like a pseudo WrestleMania weekend. We saw all of those Tokyo Joshi Pro shows that were happening around All In.
That's right. Tokyo Joshi, GCW did a big event
GCW
as well.
did one. Yeah.
Wendy went to GCW too and saw their first ever death match. So that was pretty fucking sick. The live death match, I should say. And I was texting them. I was like, isn't the sound of a light tube pop so different live? And they were like, yes.
They found what you have known all along, Nello. Like, you are the Obi-Wan Kenobi of light tubes.
Hey, now that I'm not moving to New York and I am staying in Arizona for a bit longer, I am going to see Abdullah Kobayashi this October in a Death in the Desert deathmatch tournament from this new promotion that's never ran before. So I'm sure that it will be really good. It's at a Veterans Hall. And it's just got Shindy written all over it. And brother, I am hyped.
I love that that's like new promotion, never run before. What is my plan as a promoter? I've got to bring in
too.
Like I said, I've got to bring big Abdullah Kobayashi and Nick Gage in. That was his first thought.
Yeah, that's why front row tickets are over $100, because I got to pay for Abdullah Kobayashi's flight myself.
Yeah. You are an unofficial sponsor now, so I would like the Wrestle Update logo on the mat, perhaps, or maybe on the side of the ring, or maybe just a sticker. Can you give me that? Like, just put a little sticker on the guardrail.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to talk to the promoter about that. We might be able to have him on for an interview.
We got JD Horror, Michael Kruger, Masada, Hardcore, Chuck Stein from BJW fame, Neil Diamond Cutter and Nick Gage, and Abby.
All legends is what I'm hearing right now. Although I wanted Pondo because we need to fight for him winning the Eastern Lariat.
There's no way this is being televised or filmed in any way, so I'm gonna FaceTime you, and then we'll do a review for it. So just you got to watch the FaceTime the whole show.
I'm there for it. You have an unofficial new member of your audience.
Yeah, Arizona Deathmatch Company, let's go.
The two things I've always loved:
ADC.
Yeah. Hey, man, like, look, you cannot knock the hustle of this, in my opinion.
Dude, if you're gonna bring death matches to Arizona, fucking go for it, please. I love you.
Absolutely, like, especially with you there. Like now this is like your home turf. But look, man, then the last 2 weeks we've talked about Arizona Deathmatch Company, and we talked about 2KW on the last episode. So do not say we don't have the love of the game in our veins, motherfucker. Right now.
Next show is NKW. Little Minoru Keto and Fundoshi Devil. We're keeping up the KWs.
I love it. Yeah, love it all. 2KW was awesome. Again, I watched that. I legit did watch that match with Dramacidal afterwards. It was fucking awesome. Just as I remembered. Just as I remembered back then.
Dude, the bumps that they take on that like tar pavement they're just insane. And like Dramacidal, so again, for the uninitiated, Dramacidal's gimmick is that he's a drunk. So the commentary the whole time, they're like, oh, look at that inventive shooting star because he's fucking wasted. And like the way he moves and sells, it's all very in character. It's some remarkable stuff that these kids do.
Yes, classic shows. Love all of them to bits. And hopefully ADC can capture that spirit with Abdul and you there. Second question I had for All In, though, to bring it back to the show.
Yes.
We talked about them repeating venues, but we also have to mention them repeating songs. How many times did we hear Machine Head on this show?
At the party I was at, I just kept being like, anytime that they would transition between matches, just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. They fucking love this song, dude.
I love that he made a whole announcement on it, like the day before the show. Like, we finally got it. We finally signed on the dotted line. Bush is back. Like our favorite band, Machine Head is back for All In. And I mentioned when we did our State of the Scene show for WWE and AEW, one of my critiques of them was that I felt like they didn't have their finger on the pulse of the coolness of the celebrities WWE would bring in. And this is, I think, another case we can point to. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this song at all. It's a good song from 1993 or something like that. Like, I think we could update the song a little bit. Give us a modern person. You know? Do you think that they would have the guts to do like a Taylor Swift theme song for All In next year? As a troll.
I hope not. I mean, like, I'm always down to troll, but Taylor Swift wrestling, not for me.
No, it's just like that person that asked in the press conference, EO Sky, like, will you wrestle Taylor Swift? And she was like, huh? Yeah, she was like, are you crazy? I think she literally said that to the person who said that. Just like in the press conference on this show when they were talking to Athena, they were like, how does this win compare to Bill Goldberg retiring? And Athena was like, what? Like, pretty much. Wrestling media members at these press conferences, I mean, I'm not saying they were ever great, but they've really fallen off, I think, in recent years. But we did get Machine Head playing more, and that led us in to Mark Briscoe and MJF. They gave MJF this big entrance with like the Randy Orton pyro. So here's the thing about this match here. This was obviously the Casino Gauntlet. The winner gets the title shot. I didn't really like that. I mean, and they said this. It's not like it went wrong, but I'm not a fan of this, where the people coming in are always in random intervals. It's not like every 2 minutes so and so will come in. It's like one person would come in after a minute, and then one person would come in after 5 minutes. It's like, what the like? When's so and so coming in next?
I'd be pissed off if I'm a contestant. I'm like Bandito's in front of me. They're like, yeah, you got 30 seconds, bud. And then like I'm Roddy after I go to go out. They're like, oh, we're gonna do 5 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how is this fair?
I really wish Roddy had come in as the match was ending. They kept his gimmick of always being like, he's never able to get in the match in any of these gauntlet matches. But they started off a lot with MJF trying to eliminate or win the match when it's just one-on-one with quick pins. This whole opening part was about MJF pretty much. Ricochet comes in next. They have a mini team up with Ricochet and MJF as the heels. Bandito comes in. MJF turns on Ricochet. Number 5 is Takeshita, and that leads to Briscoe and Takeshita, which is awesome. They had a great spot coming in. MJF, he's going after Bandito's mask, but finally the next entrance comes out as Mimuero plays as Místico comes out, which had the amazing entrance in Arena Mexico.
Not as amazing here. Like, it was so fucking cool to hear it in the arena, and he took all the time he could to get this entrance over, but I feel like the crowd...
They weren't buying it, like, as much as the Arena Mexico.
Well, Arena Mexico, every person in the audience knows the words, and it's like a god. You know, and it's like here, it's like, hey, this is a really cool international star, but like, how many people? I felt like you could hear some people singing, but like it did not hit that same level, unfortunately. But it was really cool to see this song, this entrance, you know, on this crazy level as well.
It was just kind of goofy because he was meant to like make the big save for Bandito, but he was too busy like him.
Dude, he's Jeff Hardy dancing when he's coming out.
Or Cope coming out too. We might see later on in his entrance as well that he loved to soak up the spotlight. I know all the words to this song, so I get where you're coming from. Though I think most people in this arena didn't know the same way as in Mexico, or if you're a Spanish speaker. They finally get at it with Místico and MJF. They're building up their match. Josh Alexander comes in. Anthony Bowens comes in. Roddy comes in to end the Farnick, which was very nice.
Yep.
Brody came in, and then we got our first surprise pick. Juice Robinson is back.
With another horrible look and a long line of shitty looks, Juice. You're back to the Blues Brother bullshit.
Why did he go back to that? That to me is actually one of my least favorite. Because you're right, all of his looks are kind of bad. Outside of the one when he was like U.S. champion in New Japan, where he had like the pirate founding father deal going, I thought was good. But then he had the Blues Brothers. He had like the Undertaker, but if they like Undertaker with My Little Pony colors that he had. He had what he had last in the Bullet Club with the shades and everything. And now he's kind of back with the Blues Brothers look. So I'm not sure why he went back to that. But regardless, he got a big reaction. The Gun Club runs out to back him up, so they do a spot for those guys. I guess the Bullet Club is back together, or whatever they're called. Kota Ibushi's out. Next, Cheyenne loves it. She wanted to see what he could do. He comes in. Beast Mordos comes in. He wrecks shit, and he's awesome as he always is, pretty much. Takeshita at one point suplexed both Bandito and Roderick at the same time, which was good. Everybody hit their big moves. You had the Gonzo Bomb. Juice hit his left hand of God. Froggy Bow. Kamigoye. End of Heartache. Sick Kick. Then Max Caster comes out and he does his stuff, and he's like, finally, a real star's in the ring. They do a spot with him and Bowens, but in the end, leads to the J Driller on Roddy. MJF steals the pin from Briscoe and gets the win here. What'd you think of this?
It was fun. Again, like, I thought that this was a good Casino Gauntlet match. It seems like people were pretty critical of this show, at least on the inmate side. And again, like, this was under a 7, I believe. Really good, like a really satisfying stream of entrance, really good sequences from everyone, like it's get your shit in pretty much. But what I liked about this is that we pretty much got to see, this is what I was going to talk about when we were offline before, when we were just talking. But I really appreciate how much of a consistent cast AEW has solidified on their on screen. They suffered a lot before of trying to get everyone on TV. And I think Tony Khan even recently talked about how some wrestlers are just benched in their off season, which I don't think is a bad thing. It allows people to rest. It gives them time off work. This is not an easy job. You're always fucking going. And sorry, I just got a notification on my phone. Yeah, like I really appreciate the cast that they've put together, and it just shows that they have so much talent. From Brody King to Bandito to bringing in people like a Mystico to returns like Juice Robinson to just utility players like Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe. Like, you are stacked with just riches, just a nasty amount of riches. And this was a great showcase for everyone. MJF, when he won, definitely gave me hope that that Hangman was gonna win, and I think that will be a great first feud for Hangman. And I'm not even that big of an MJF fan.
To me,
like-
I think that, yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this goes back to stuff I've said before. I thought the talkie talk with Briscoe was a great segment made entirely by him. We're going to talk about it in the tag title match. I think MJF has done so much damage to Hurt Syndicate. Like, if you look at where they're at now compared to where they were 5 months ago, when they went off a private party, they feel so much less special. And I just think that a lot of it comes down to him and his, like, he's such a repetitive one-note character, in my opinion. I really don't think of him as a main event level talent at all. I think that they put so much time and effort into him. And I get it, because he's in the Happy Gilmore movie. He's been one of your pillars, said by you, like, for, not you, but like you as in the company, for all of these years. I get why they push him so much. But for me as a fan, he's just really just not interesting at all compared to, there's so much good things going on in AEW right now. So many good things going on. And I really think this brother, like, is such a tired act. I really wish he would switch it up a little bit, because the cheap heat and all of that beauty, like, on behalf of the Hurt Syndicate, it has not worked for me at all. And it's only gotten worse as time has gone along. Like you said, it's going to be a good feud. And they've been teasing it forever. You have to give them credit for that. Like, every couple of weeks, MJF and Hangman would bounce into each other backstage, and MJF would be like, "You're never going to win the title." Fuck you. There's some stuff like that. So they've done a great job setting that up. It makes sense. And I like that they built so much stories about this. But because the match was so hyper-focused on MJF for so much of it, I really have to agree with the inmates on this one more than the opener. I was on your side on the opener, but I thought the women's match was a lot more interesting than this one, in my opinion. This is like a 5 out of 10 match to me.
Oh, wow.
35 minutes for this payoff and a match largely centered around him. There was some great stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from it. A lot of your points are fair, and it was good to get all these guys to get their big moves out of the way and have showcase spots. But for me, was it worth, like, Was it worth the sum of its parts? I really don't think so. Like I thought it was like a kind of a slog after the opener, and what we were gonna have next, I think really hurt the show, and not in any bad like any way that you could blame anybody for. But I just thought this was a bad note to start off with. So I didn't like this match that much, and I don't like MJF getting the title shot, but I understand it as well. What do you think of? Well, we'll talk about it with the tag title match later. Like we'll talk about Hurt Syndicate more later.
Well, here's the
Uh,
thing, and I will say, they had to pull the trigger with MJF as the singles world champion guy with Hurt Syndicate sooner or later because that's been the entire story, right? So
Yeah.
I think that by having MJF not only be Hangman's first opponent, I think that they trust that the story will be quality. It will be a heel that can get over their biggest babyface ever. And then that will also take MJF back out of the world title picture right away. It will further the Hurt Syndicate narrative that they're doing with him, Lashley, and Shelton and MVP. So I think that, yes, we may not want MJF in the world title scene, but this is, I would rather have him get in and out than be looming over it.
I think that's a fair point as well. Like if you're gonna do it, you might as well just do it now, than have this drag on. I still think we're missing a segment where Lashley destroys MJF, and maybe when I get that, I'll feel like it's all worth it at the end. They go backstage. Big Stokely, he's talking about how FTR is finally done with the Outrunners, and FTR is going to be there for the tag title match. More on that later. They then cut to the TNT title. They hype up the 4-way with a video package they probably had to make on short notice. And then they cut to Adam Cole. And he cuts like a really sad promo. And he basically said, like, mentally, I'm not in a good place right now with this injury. So I don't even want to talk about retirement. But if this is it, like, I want to give it all up to the best fans ever. And it was really sad. To be honest with you, like, this was a legit moment. Heartbreaking moment. Roddy and Kyle come in. They all hug. Cole kisses the title. And they all go backstage. This was an amazing promo, but a heartbreaking one at the same time because it was real. I don't think there's anything we could say here. It wasn't a performance. Like, this was the real feelings of, Adam Cole. And that's where he's really shined the most in AEW. I always consider his return promo after he was out for all those years with the head injury as one of the best segments in Dynamite history. And I haven't been a big fan of a lot of his story stuff at all, but this is so far gone. All we can do is say, hey, we hope for the best for Adam Cole, and we hope he does get well soon. And also can bounce back, if not to wrestling, then to just have a healthy life that everybody deserves. Because I did feel legitimately bad for him here.
So don't get mad at me, but here's how I experienced this. TNT title gets announced. I was like, these are the participants. Are you fucking kidding me? So I was like, hey, everyone, smoke break. Because Adam Cole was coming out. And I was like, I'm just not in the mood for story time with Adam Cole, baby. And so I'm outside smoking with friends. And then someone walks out and they're like, hey, I think Adam Cole just retired. And I was like, what? So then I went back and I watched it and I was like, oh, I'm a bad person for not sitting down and watching this initially. But yeah, it's heartbreaking. I admittedly am someone who has had a lot of love loss with Adam Cole over the years. Like, ever since I think he came into AEW, he's just sort of lost stock with me. Like, he hasn't been able to shake like this NXT sort of like energy. I don't know. And but no matter what, like, he was one of my favorite guys for a very long time. When he was in Ring of Honor and PWG, like, those were great runs. Like, he was very much the definition of a world champion throughout the 2010s. I think that when you look at that whole era, he was a champion in some of the top promotions in the country, from again PWG, ROH, NXT. He was pretty much the champion in some capacity pretty much the entire tenure he was in all of those places. He had, obviously, I mean, like, the Undisputed Era, Kingdom, Paragon, whatever you want to call them, are very much part of pro wrestling history and etched into the books in that sense. And yeah, I don't know. It's heartbreaking, man. It's one of those things where you realize the fragility of life. Since the retirement has happened, I believe it was Sean Ross Sapp who's gone on to report that it is a concussion. And that was my first thought as well, because usually there's nothing that pulls you out of an event so instantly than a concussion or some sort of neurological flare up. And with the amount of concussions and head trauma that Cole has taken, my main hope for him at this point is to have a successful, healthy, and very, very long life. Like, him as a pro wrestler is so far out of my mind. I hope he has the longest, most rewarding career in pro wrestling still that he is able to have. But like, it's one of those cases like a Shibata when he got injured, right? Like, you just want to see them be able to have quality of life more than anything.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Hopefully he can bounce back, and maybe it won't be as serious as it looked, but the way he talked, it seemed really serious, to be honest with you, and I hope for the best for him. And I know a thing or two about this exact injury as well in my own career, so I really relate to that. I also felt a little bad for the guys in the next match, because like this
Dude,
killed the crowd. Like this killed the crowd.
Like, 100%. And then also, I don't think the crowd was excited for this. Like, that was another thing.
Yeah. Even on its own, it's not that like it's a match you're thinking like, oh come on, these guys, pretty much.
Yes. And you were planning on seeing something else, So it's just, I think that these guys walked into a death spot 100%.
And the match they put together for the vacant TNT title: Danny Garcia, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and Kyle Fletcher. When Dustin came out, I kind of thought like, hey, is he gonna win? Because he was like really emotional on his entrance. I noticed. I thought the match. First of all, we have to credit all four of these guys for putting together a match on such short notice like this. They pretty much just had to make the best of a terrible situation. Overall, I thought it was a good enough match. And maybe I'm taking what I said prior into account to it, but I thought it was better than the inmates said. 4.91 rating for them. I thought they tried their best to make a cohesive four-way match out of it. They had, early on, the Sons of Texas worked together. They had Garcia and Fletcher on the ropes. Then Fletcher and Garcia started to slap each other to make sure neither one of them tapped out, which is a pretty good little spot there. Sammy did a bunch of high-flying stuff with the one-man Spanish fly, the Lion Salt movie hit, superplex, party going crazy there. Sammy hit the Destroyer to Fletcher. Then Dustin hit the Crossroads. They were putting a lot on Fletcher here. But in the end, he ended up getting an apron bomb on Danny. He ended up getting the big kick on Dustin. But in the end, Dragon Tamer got locked in on Dustin. And Dustin pulled through with a roll-up and got the upset win. So Dustin Rhodes, triple champion in 2025 after this. The hometown moment. The Von Erichs come out, lift him on his shoulders. Sammy and Dustin hug. What did you make of this? I thought it was like a respectable match, and a match where a spot where it should have been bad. So to me, it's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. To me, it was an okay match. The story is really Dustin winning, which feels like okay, we're gonna have a feel good moment on the fly here. What'd you think of it all?
I hated this. Call me a curmudgeon, call me pessimistic, negative, whatever you want. Dustin Rhodes should not be holding these titles.
Not
I'm
even
not
one
a
of them, let alone three.
I'm
To
not
be
a
honest.
Dustin fan. I'm not someone who's like, oh, they've been wrestling for so long. Let's give them a title and pay their dues, right? Like, this is a Zack Ryder pulling it out the ass at WrestleMania moment.
That's exactly what I thought of when he won this. I was like, this is just like when Ryder won the IC title at WrestleMania that time.
Positives. They made lemonade out of really shitty lemons in the sense of they had the saddest moment with Cole and they were able to completely turn it around by the end because there was a lot of audience apathy at the beginning of this match. They really did not get people involved whatsoever in this match. The only time the audience even really popped up until the finish, I would say, was for Sammy Guevara doing like a spin move and Daniel Garcia doing his dance. Was like the only things that I felt like there was really even noise for. I felt really bad for Kyle Fletcher. I feel like best case scenario coming out of this is that you do a TNT title match on Collision or Dynamite this week, and you have Fletcher fucking destroy Dustin Rhodes and take that title immediately. I feel like that's the best way you can turn this around. I thought it was just a bad match. The spot that stuck out most to me was Fletcher puts Dustin Rhodes into a figure four. About 20 seconds later of Dustin selling this, Daniel pulls Sammy into the ring and puts on a figure four too. So at this point, this has completely diminished anything that's happening between Dustin and Kyle because Dustin's been in the figure four longer and Sammy's selling it worse, right? And I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, this is the worst kind of psychology. It was a slow four-way. There were really no interesting spots, I thought. It was people who four completely different wrestling styles that just did not gel, I thought. And I thought a big mark of this match, and it pains me to say it, but like, this is two former TNT champions, your hottest prospect and a veteran, but it still didn't really feel like there was anyone important in the match besides Kyle Fletcher. In the promo video, they said this would be Sammy Guevara's fourth TNT title. Okay, then why is this the first time I'm seeing him on TV in forever besides that bullshit tag match on the last pay-per-view or whatever?
You hated that match.
Like, I hated that match, man. Sons of Texas are not for me. I'm not a Sammy fan. I'm not a Dustin fan. I do not like their wrestling. I do not like their psychology. And this whole match was just really, really bad. I thought I'd go like 3 out of 10 on this.
Even lower than the inmates. Oh, wow. I mean, I really agree with you about Dustin winning the titles. I'm a fan of his as a wrestler. You know, Goldust did some amazing things 20 years ago. Even 10 years ago. Like Dustin and Cody teaming against the Shield, that was baller. I think it's a big, big stretch to continue rolling him out here in 2025. And he's like their go-to guy. Like whenever you have a spot where somebody gets hurt or something happens where you need a new champion, he's who they've turned to 3 times in a row now. And I just think there's so many other people this would have benefited, you know, overall. What would you have done? Like, okay, so let's say you get this call and they say, all right, AC's not going to be able to defend the title. We're vacating the title. What would your call have been? How would you have rectified that rather than this? Like you said, all 4 of these guys are totally mismatched. But instead of doing this 4-way, what would you have done with the TNT belt on the show? Or would you just have said, hey, like, I'm sorry, Kyle, you could go in the Battle Royal, but we're cutting this match off. And like, we'll give you the belt on Wednesday or whatever, or Collision, like you said. What would you have done here?
Well, again, like I said, even though it wasn't for me, I think that they turned this sad moment into a very positive one for the live audience. Like, they really gravitated and responded to Dustin winning in a positive way, even though it wasn't for me. So I don't know if if they change this now into Kyle comes out and kills Dustin this week and wins the title, I think that's really good booking. But again, like, I don't think the match that got us here or anything was good. So, you know, like off the top of my head, I don't know if I had a better plan for this, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. Anything you would have done?
Did you notice that Kyle has new music?
No.
It didn't stand out to you, I guess. Unfortunately. I honestly think I mean, yes, it's good that it turned a terrible situation into a feel good moment. And I get that. Like, I get the appeal of doing that. I think I just would have had someone else. Because remember, Dustin and Sammy worked the 0 hour too. Like, they ended up having two matches.
Yeah, that's true. So you saw them twice.
Yeah. Maybe they could have cut that out instead. Maybe in this one, if you were dead set on doing this. I was thinking maybe get like a luchador, like Atlantis Jr. or something. Have him fill in and let Fletcher get the belt. I actually think if Fletcher had won the title, he would have gotten a babyface pop. To be honest with you, like I think with everything they're doing, even though he is a squirrely heel, I think the fans recognize how good he really is. Or you could have done what I really wanted to do, which is have Tomohiro Ishii be the mystery replacement and have him win the TNT belt. Stone Pitbull champion. Is that not a feel-good moment too, Nello?
I would have loved it.
Exactly. We would have popped for it. I don't know if... I think it would have gotten a pop because it was so random. But this was also completely random. Like you said.
If the goal is to get over Kyle, then I would have appreciated a showcase for Kyle and not Dustin Rhodes.
Exactly. That's why I said maybe Atlantis Jr., maybe.
Yeah, like how many more moments do we need to give Dustin? Like the guy has 3 fucking titles.
What if they had one of the Von Erich? What if they had instead of the Suns?
Don't even.
The Von Erichs.
No.
Ross Von Erich is
That's
your two
so
TNT champions.
That's so much worse. That's so much worse.
Well, then you're out of options at that point. But I think the same thing can be accomplished. Like either way, have this guy get the feel good win on the pay-per-view, and then Fletcher takes the belt from him within a week or two in a dominant fashion. Like, and I think that works overall. Like you swerve him on the show, and then you get to where you want to go anyway. So, yeah, big celebration, and we move on to the tag team match with tons of special entrances. We get the Assassin's Creed Shadows entrance for Will Ospreay. Currently, I'm in a playthrough of that, by the way. So I recognize this right away. I have to say, I don't know who was doing this. Like who the stunt people were, the who choreographed this or whatever. But nobody was really in sync. It felt like to me. It felt like they just kind of like maybe they got some undercard workers backstage to do this, and they're like, we don't know anything about assassins or.
Dude, I said
like
the first thing I said was, "Do you think these are real ninjas or just local indie talent?"
That's exactly what they were. Was local indie talent, because they were really not in sync for what you would have wanted for this entrance. But he leaps up from the ground. Just like $1 million worth of pyro, I think, was used for this entrance as well. And then you get JoJo Offerman singing Ain't Nobody, which was Swerve's indie theme song, to lead. Yeah, great entrance, too. They even had the Firefly stuff. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt there.
See, and I love that because I feel like that's something that WWE would not do. They won't acknowledge like to go out of your way and acknowledge someone who is a superstar in another company who literally never even touched your promotion in any way. Like that's meaningful. That means to me that you recognize pro wrestling history and you care about legacy and you recognize meaningful history.
Totally agree with that. I love that. And she did a great job with it as well. Young Bucks had an entrance where they came out on a boat and they did another one of those founding father things. And then
love it.
And then Taz was like, well, it wasn't good, but at least it was long, huh? And I was like, yep, good point, Taz. Okay, so what did you think of the build to this? Like, if the Bucks lose, they're out of being EVPs. If Ospreay and Swerve lose, they're not allowed to challenge for the world title for a whole year. We saw the will they coexist tag team stuff. We'll rush them into this. What did you think of the stip and the build up to this before we get to the match itself?
So, full transparency, I have not watched Weekly at all post Double or Nothing except for this past week. I just have not had time and just too much going on. I've kept up through reviews or just like recaps through post. So that said, I can't really speak too much about the entire build. I can speak about the stipulation though. I liked it. I think one of the strengths of this show was that one of the constraints that they had going on was that there was a number of matches that would happen on this card that would inform the triple main events, which is to say Mercedes and Toni, Hangman and Moxley, right? Where Athena winning the women's casino gauntlet, does that not make you assume that Mercedes is winning the women's world title? That's like the natural matchup, right? So they understand that, they work against that constraint, and they use it against you with the reverse psychology. I thought that All In being in Wembley a year from now and setting this 1 year thing up exactly now for the next All In that would be in London, I could totally see them losing this and having to be banned out of the world title scene for a year. These guys have been hovering around it, but there's so much new talent that you could even bring into this world title scene to build up. And you can have these guys go for the unified champion. It's all to say that they had really strong booking in the sense of everything was really up in the air for me. And so much that would have informed other things on this show, they really tightrope walked very well without sort of spoiling anything else. So I really appreciated all of that. And yeah, I don't know. I like the stipulation. It had real stakes. I'm happy that it wasn't one of those we'll never title challenge for the world title, because I think that that's when you start getting into Cody territory.
Yeah, we don't want that.
And just kind of like, okay, this is a little bit unbelievable now. It's hard for me to accept this, right? Yeah, what did you think of the stip?
Like you said, if they had tried to say we'll never challenge again, the only problem with that stip is at this point in 2025 as fans, you're not devastated by them not challenging again. You're thinking, how are they going to get around this stip in the future? Which renders the stip, it renders the stip itself pointless at that point. I liked it, and I thought for sure, I personally thought it would actually be much more interesting if Ospreay and Swerve lost heading into it. But it did work and help the match and elevate a lot of these near falls where I thought that the Bucks were going to win. In my mind, like you said, they kind of used that against us as fans, and it made the match that much better and more dramatic. And I think they were aware that much the talk on post wrestling, as you mentioned, or among fans on Twitter or anywhere, is that how interesting would it be for Ospreay to get the belt at Wembley next year after not challenging for a year? So it made perfect sense to utilize the stipulation. And on top of it, the Bucks not being EVPs, like, I'd like to see, I'm at a wait and see moment of that, because I'm kind of scared it'll lead to some really dumb vignettes like we saw a couple of weeks ago with them at their hometown, which were not good at all. And them trying to get back to just being normal wrestlers. I don't know if I'm that interested in their journey as characters, pretty much. But for Swerve and Ospreay, I really think they needed a big win. I think especially Will, he has not gotten the major win he needed, in my opinion. He's had, not even minor wins. Obviously, the wins over Fletcher were good and a part of their big story. But he hasn't got that, like, he's a made man, championship level guy win like he could have had over Hangman, which Hangman got, which obviously I think we approve of anyway. But I really think they've had him for a year and a half now, and he's yet to get that major win that I think he needs. I think this was a good step towards that. It was still a tag match, but it still felt like, Swerve was the main guy to the fans, at least. But still, I thought it was really well done. And I thought the match itself, I thought the psychology of this was a little bit off with the opening being it took you a little bit to get into it, but when it got going, it really got going, pretty much. And they ended up just tearing the house down. I thought, I don't know how anybody can look at these four and just not think, man, these guys are an incredible when it comes to pace. I loved the double no sell from Ospreay and Swerve on the flip pile drivers that led to the hidden blade in the house call. The crowd went crazy over that. They were doing double team moves. They got the big heat spot with the kick to Prince Nana that everyone loved. You saw a low blow at one point. They all went for the EVP trigger. But in the end, they did the spot where Swerve ended up leaping in front of Will to take the super kicks to save him. He looked like Superman in this match. They've really made Swerve like a top babyface for sure. They ended up hitting the hidden blade and the house call at the same time. Swerve gets the pin on Matt. The EVP era for the Bucks are done. They had the dramatic lore Twitter pop storytelling with Swerve saving Ospreay and set up what was to come in the main event as well. This match was really, really strong. What did you think?
The energy and spirit of Page and Omega versus the Bucks. This felt like the spiritual successor to that in terms of AEW tag matches, the history, all of that stuff. It's your two biggest single stars besides Hangman versus your biggest, most prolific tag team of all time, and they fucking delivered. I thought, the sequence that got clipped a lot, but it's just that crazy counter sequence, where Ospreay's going against both Bucks, then Swerve comes in, they do all the kicks, all four men get laid out. Like, that's what pro wrestling's all about. I'm a sucker for those moments. I thought the false finishes in this match were some of the best I've seen. I bit on both of those Ospreay false finishes from the
Yep.
To me, like, those are the kind of kickouts that elevate Ospreay to the next level. I think that AEW is doing such a great job of booking their stars. Because it wasn't too long ago that there was a pay-per-view, I believe, where it was Ospreay, Swerve, and Hangman all lost. Maybe it was Revolution or something, but it was like Swerve and Lashley.
That was a World's End. I remember us talking about that.
Yeah. And it was like, man, this is not a good sign. Like, these are your three biggest guys, and you look at how much they've bounced back and how much goodwill AEW seems to have regained since then, right? And I think it's very indicative of these guys and how much they are backing them.
Totally agree. They've really built up their babyface roster. That feels like maybe something that was kind of a point of contention. But since that Revolution show where Cope was in the main event, and that just horrific main event, Cope versus Mox, they've really went out of their way to recenter this promotion on who it should be centered around, which is the three men you just named. Hangman, Swerve, and Ospreay, and Omega to a lesser extent, in my opinion. They've done a great job re-energizing the babyface side. I thought the Bucks were good foils in this match, just like they were in the Sting and Darby tag match. I thought they played their roles very well here too. It was just a mesmerizing athletic display. 8.86 rating, the second highest rated match on the show compared to the main event.
I'd go 9.
Yeah, me too. I'd go 9 too. There's another match I like better than this, though, on the show. We'll get to that later. It was not the Women's Casino Gauntlet, but I did like it, though. Like I said, I thought the women's match was better than the men's. But they start off with Chris Statlander. Yes, getting the most amount of time. We loved that. Chris Statlander and Megan Bain. So yeah, this was very. And then Willow Nightingale came out third, so it's like already we're in the Dylan coded type of match here, with the Power Girls going at it.
Dylan Mania.
That's what it felt like. Then Ty Mello comes out, which is not as beefy as the first three, but still, it's nice that she came back after all the time off. Uh, Harley came and ran out, got a big pop because Penelope Ford was trying to interfere. Anna Jay ran in. They did a bunch of people running in who weren't in the match. Tekla comes in, and Tekla, this was really good. When she did her dive, she yelled, "Fuck you!" as she dove off, and the commentators all called it out and laughed about it. It was really funny. Willow and Tekla had a great pairing. I like that they continued Chris's like heel turn type of look with Willow here, where she's still pissed at her after all this time. Julia comes in, Sky Blue's on the outside. She tries, but I thought it was a big step down from the other wrestlers that came in before her. Queen Aminata comes in, and her and Tekla go at it, and this was some badass stuff. I thought both of these two gained a lot from the match. Tekla and the Queen. They did a great job. Mina comes in with a good pop. Fresh off of winning the women's Ring of Honor TV title. She comes in, does some good stuff here. Athena comes in next. That's where it felt like things really kicked into a next gear. Thunder Rosa comes in. Then Shuri comes in, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's like Shuri's here. This was much.
I called this, and I was very happy.
Oh, this was awesome. Like, Shuri came in, and her and Athena immediately stared off. I cannot wait to see what Shuri does. I hope she gets a lot of singles matches in AEW. Will Ospreay's fiance, Alex Windsor, comes in, and she looked really good here. Her and Shuri had a great pairing as well. Aminata's fired up. Statlander and Bane are still going at it after all that time. And Willow hits a DVD on Athena onto the apron. It looked incredible. Then Statlander powerbombed Megan Bane off the middle rope onto everybody on the outside. It looks fucking awesome.
Great spot.
Yeah, I loved it. It was all good. They were going back and forth with Mina coming in. She looks for the figure four. I didn't really like the finish here because she had Rosa set up, but she had to kind of drag her over to set up Athena hitting the O face, which was a good finish and all. I just thought it was set up really unrealistically. I wish she had hit it more naturally. But regardless, Athena gets the win. I thought this was a really strong match. Obviously, it wasn't as good as the tag match we just saw earlier. I'm not saying it was, but I thought it was a great follow-up, and I thought it was a better match than the men's version. It's got a 7.60 rating, which I think is a very fair rating. I thought Tekla, Queen, Shuri, and Statlander all stood out a lot in ring, and I thought Athena really gained a lot as well from the win here. Good booking. The right person won, and like you said, it threw a wrench into the women's title match as well. So all about this, I have nothing but good things to say. What'd you think, man?
I liked it a lot. I'd go like 7.5 on this one, 3 3/4.
Yep. And that's about where they're at too. Yeah.
Great showcase for the women. I thought that how this differentiated from the men's match was the men's match very much thrived off of singles interactions, which was good. And then this one had a lot of group spots from, Megan Bane powerbombing to the outside, all of that stuff. Like, it seemed like they involved the larger whole a lot more than the men did, where the men are in and out, boom, boom, boom. It was a lot of the women all competing at once, to where I'm pretty sure there's that moment where it's literally every single woman in the match brawling inside of the ring at once, I think that they really showed like the strength that they have in numbers right now. And it was just a really good showcase. I'm happy for Athena. We've talked for God knows how long about when are they going to bring her up? When are they going to call her up? And now that we've looked at it, yes, it took God knows how long, but is there any better way that she could have been called up than this? Because she is a Texas hometown girl too.
Yeah, she is. She has a long history in her home state. I thought it was really well booked all along because you got finally Athena's big moment. You had Shuri debuting. You had the new wrestlers like Windsor and Tekla looking great.
Windsor looked great too. I thought that was my first ever time seeing her. Man, Thekla and Aminata are just fucking awesome too. I just need to shout
Yeah.
out them and their feud.
I totally agree. A lot of fans were really hard on Tekla when she was in Hate and Stardom. But man, you look at her here, she's such a great talent. Windsor and Shuri's singles match from Eve, well worth watching if you can track that down, by the way. If you want to look at Alex Windsor in a singles role, check her and Shuri out. You get a look at both of them. And it was a banger of a match, too. They looked really good. So this match gave focus to all of these new people. And I thought it really elevated people, unlike the men's match, which again, really MJF was the only one that got a really elevation, I thought, in the whole match. And I thought this one did a good job of putting over everybody in it. So really good stuff. FTR comes out to ringside. Then we have MVP rapping to the ring, along with Smoke Dizza here. They come in with the We Hurt People theme. The crowd didn't seem that into it, to be honest with you, outside of the We Hurt People chant. But they defended the tag titles versus Jet Speed, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight, and the Patriarchy team of Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. So the big story of all this was the turn, with Nick Wayne turning on Christian. After the match, they did stuff with FTR, where Lashley threw Christian into FTR ringside to set up what was going to happen. In the end, Lashley hit the spear to win. I thought the match... I don't understand their booking of Hurt Syndicate at all. I say it every time we do one of these reviews. The key to booking Hurt Syndicate is them killing people. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do back and forth with these guys. They need to beat the hell out of everybody, make them look like monsters, and then you build to an epic match to get the most out of them. But they haven't done that even once. On all of these pay-per-views, it's always back and forth matches. And here they played second fiddle to the Patriarchy storyline. I feel bad for Jet Speed because they're a really good team. Speedball did a great job. Their match with Okada was fucking awesome, and they never followed up on it, unfortunately. And he deserves a lot better, I think. Kevin Knight's really stood out on his own. His momentum got crunched when he went to the Best of the Super Junior tournament, I think. Tony Khan even spoke on that, where he was like, if I had known he was going to be this good, I might not have let him go to Japan. I think that hurt their push a little bit. But they're a good team, and I just thought all of this was swallowed up with the theatrics, with the Patriarchy afterwards. But we'll get to the turn in a second. What did you think purely of the tag title match here?
This is probably the match that I forgot the most throughout the show. Which, it's forgettable, but really cool entrances. Like, I'm very hyped on Jet Speed. It's hard because, like, how do you build up a tag division when you have the Hurt Syndicate at the top? And like, I think that they need to invest all of the tag team stuff right now is invested in FTR, who is not near the titles, Young Bucks, who feud with singles wrestlers, and Hurt Syndicate, which pretty much need to kill any tag team. There needs to be more investment in the tag team division separate from all of that. We need Jet Speed versus Outrunners. We need God, I don't even know which tag teams they have right now, really. But there needs to be contenders matches, way more than than just a on the fly. Hey, we're going to do Sons of Texas versus Crew, right? Out of nowhere.
We don't need that. We don't need that.
No, this is something where the rankings could really benefit. I want to see a team grow. You need to build your next big babyface tag team. And dude, maybe it's Swerve and Ospreay. Who fucking knows?
That's what I'm saying. If they had booked this right, okay, let's say Hurt Syndicate had killed everybody, all 5-minute matches. Coming out of this show, you have major matches at Forbidden Door, Hurt Syndicate versus Golden Lovers in a tag team title match. Now that's back on the table. They made a whole deal about them reuniting. Then you have Ospreay and Swerve could be the final boss. Again, that's a main event level match if you have that on paper, but now it feels like the tag belts have just really fallen lower. They're secondary. They're just goons for MJF, and they don't even book them as strong as they should have. Yes, they're winning, but this was a 20-minute match almost where they weren't even the main point of it. And to me, like you said, this is the thing. They did not keep everyone else even like they should have if you're going to book like this. Because they haven't built up anybody. Jet Speed got their ass beat 10 times on Dynamite and just begged for more. It was like, hey, you ain't killed us yet. Come back and beat us up some more. And then they did it. And like that didn't do anything for anybody. They haven't effectively built this division at all. Whereas if they had done it right, you have Golden Lovers, FTR, and Swerve and Ospreay right there to be great tag team champion contenders. But we should be getting to that. And then maybe you could build up one of the younger teams like a Jet Speed to take the title off of them. But I just don't think they've done it. And I don't know where this tag title reign's going. I kind of hope to see it out of Swerve or an Ospreay or a Golden Lovers. It's a shame because I love them as talents. I think those guys are like world title caliber, both of them, on their own. Like you said, it was a forgettable match. It wasn't bad. That German suplex Shelton did to Speedball, where he suplexed him over the rope on the outside, he hit the German suplex over the top rope to the outside, was fucking awesome. I love both of those guys so much. It's got a fair rating, I would say, on Cage Match, 6.73. Like, it's right between a 6 and a 7 to me. Then, after the match, you had FTR. They went at it with Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne, and Cage tried to stand up to him, but then Nick Wayne grabs Christian, hits the kill switch on him. Shayna Wayne's in the ring. She's smiling. She's like, yes, you finally turned on this abusive piece of shit who is now a babyface in her storyline. Cash Wheeler hands Nick Wayne the chair to hit a concerto, but suddenly, You Think You Know Me hits. Pope takes his sweet time, posing for the fans like he's Mystico at the top of the ramp. Everyone had to wait for him to look like stupid idiots. But he runs in with Spike, hits a spear. He knocks the chair out of Wayne's hands with Spike, then spears Kip, and they all retreat. And Copeland goes up to Christian. He grabs the mic and he says, "Go find yourself."
Obviously, they were going to get here at some point. I don't think I care as much as I did when Edge first came into the company for a Christian and Edge run. I love Christian. Edge has done a lot of programs and things that I have not been a fan of. And yeah, I thought that this was a little bit corny with the whole "go find yourself."
They got a reaction. And I think this will work, ultimately. But if you're asking me, I have no use for Copeland. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Cope Hogan go over more younger talent that he's done time and time again. I don't want to see Christian turn. He's a fantastic heel. And is way better as a heel than he was as a babyface before. Do they have any way to freshen up his act as a babyface? Because I thought like he took a huge upgrade as a heel from where he was before as a babyface, and that's going to go away now. I'm cool with the nostalgia act. I wish it was used to put over some people. I get the feeling though that they're gonna. This is another one. Again, Hurt Syndicate has a whole year worth of programs, and Cope and Christian could easily be a tag title contending team for a one-off if they wanted to build it. Like, they have the guns for a great division. They just haven't used anybody right. And this is another team they're setting up that could be big stars. If they put people over, which, I mean, with Cope, I don't know. But we'll see where it goes. We, like you said, we knew that we were going to get here eventually, and now we're doing it. Up next, the women's world title match. Timeless Toni versus Mercedes Moné. Big time entrances for both women. Monet came out with cheerleaders holding her belts. Looked really good.
Yes.
Like, really great entrance. Huge swag factor for Mercedes here. You had stuff with Luther going in. You had a lot of innuendo-based stuff Toni was doing with the spanking and all that stuff early on. They both traded hip attacks. Mercedes did the Three Amigos. The crowd booed that. Mercedes bit her way out of everything. And then Storm bit Monet in a certain part of her body between her legs, which was a very
I talked
interesting.
about this at the party. I was like, guys, I got to do the fucking cage match podcast tomorrow with Dylan, and I'm gonna have to talk about how Toni put Mercedes in a tombstone and then bit her in the coochie, dude. Just straight
do I
up
call
coochie
that?
bite. How do I call this? How do I?
Coochie bite?
I don't know. Yeah, like
what did the crew say? How did they say we should address this move?
I don't know, but it was something.
It was definitely something.
My response, I said, I've never seen that before.
I think that was my exact response too. Like, I don't remember that ever happening in a match. The crowd popped big, proving that perverts aren't only in Arizona, like when they popped when you were there for the fan appeal stuff. But we will settle on calling it the coochie bite since you declared it that. They go back in. Monet.
You know what? We'll call it the cooch crunch.
The cooch crunch.
The cooch crunch.
Yes. Tony Khan, if you are listening to this and you want to give Toni Storm advice on this move, the cooch crunch is what. Please give us credit for that on commentary if you do it. You don't even have to do it, but we'll know, actually. Maybe send us a DM. I won't tell anybody, I promise. But we want that at the end of the day.
Hey, Cooch Crunch Jones over here.
Monet kisses Storm. Then another big pop here for the Legier work we have here. Toni Storm counters 3 Storm Zeros in a row. Monet kicks out of all of them. Storm goes to the ropes. They try to go in with the bank statement, but Storm gets out. Toni then crotches Monet on the rope, because of course she does. She makes out with Monet, then hits the Storm Zero from the middle rope to win. I really think, and I have to say, like, all of this stuff, I really think would have been better as a less is more moment. You didn't have to hit 3 Storm Zeros before the middle rope. One would have been just fine. And I think the kiss of death spot that Toni kind of did at the end would have worked better if we hadn't seen the exact same thing from Mercedes in the middle of the match. So I really wish they had been a little bit more creative with that. What'd you think?
I didn't mind it as much because I saw it as Mercedes, obviously trying to emulate and be her. And when Mercedes comes short, it's like you think like you're this everything person, but like you're simply not Toni Storm. So I like that Toni or Mercedes did those things. From like Mercedes the opposite of that, right? Would be how Mercedes bit to get out of all of her moves, and then Toni does the cooch crunch, right? So they had it from both sides to where like they were both emulating each other's styles and moves and seeing who could get the better of each other. So like the 3 strong zeros, definitely excessive. I thought Mercedes was for sure winning, and they pretty much gave her everything with that. In retrospect, I think that when I watch the match back, I will appreciate that because I'm like, holy hell, did they give her everything? And did Toni? Because like, I am so happy Toni won. I wanted Toni to win, and what I appreciate is that it felt like this was Toni's biggest challenge. On paper, it needed to feel like it in the ring, and it definitely did. And Mercedes sold the shit out of that final strong zero. Like when the doctors came to check on her, a lot of people at the party were like, do you think that's legit? Like, do you think she actually got hurt?
Okay.
So they obviously were effective in that sense. I don't know. I really, really liked this match. I thought that, and maybe this is controversial, but I thought that this was the best match of the triple main events.
Oh, A spicy take right now, ladies and gentlemen. Nello bringing heat. You thought this was the best match of the three. So would you like this better or the tag match?
Tag match was my favorite of the show.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I definitely love that match a lot. I like this match a lot. I mean, I definitely think it's worth watching. And like I said, it took me a little bit to come around on Tony's gimmick. But I'm pretty.
I remember.
Like,
I used to have to
yeah.
fight you on that.
I was a late bloomer when it comes to that, and I just think that I really had. It was a hard road, and when the road gets hard, you have to get hard back. And I think that I finally reached that point.
Is that
with
Brody King? the road is hard. Be harder.
Yes, but yes, Toni Storm, definitely the hardest of them all here. It was a good match. I wouldn't say, like, to me, this does not measure up at all to the Hollywood ending. Like, if I were to compare the two, I thought that match was like an incredible match of the year level match. This was a great match on a show with a lot of really strong matches. I could have done without the excess, but for these characters, I mean, Toni's character ultimately, like, that's what she's all about. Like, everything is over the top with her. That's kind of the point of it. And with Mercedes, it's a similar thing where she's so over the top in that CEO persona. I guess it made sense. I still think it was a really strong match. I wouldn't say I loved it, though. It'd be like a 7.5 out of 10 to me. Like, 3 3/4.
I love when we disagree. 9.
Okay.
I go 9.
And that's up in line with the inmates. They gave it 8.81. So they're really more closer to your side. I still would recommend it, though. So then we get Jason Miller to sing Kenny Omega's entrance out.
Who was Jason Miller?
He sang, the thing I know him most from is he sang songs on the Metal Gear Rising soundtrack. So he's like a video game voice actor and singer. He sang Rules of Nature on Metal Gear Rising. And Omega contacted him from that to do this song. And he was there. He looked super intimidating on his own right. And they had a bunch of pyro for him, Osprey levels for Omega. I've said it before. We've talked about this before. I personally like Battle Cry better as Omega's theme for weekly shows, but I like this is like his championship entrance.
I like when wrestlers have the different entrances.
Yeah. Me too. It makes it feel that much more special. You get Tetsuya Uemura's voiceover, so big Final Fantasy pop from me here too, from Omega. He looked like a superstar. Okada came out with Don Callis. He looked like a megastar with his entrance. And I think by the end of this, I thought with Ibushi outside, I actually thought that there was a chance Ibushi would throw in the towel for Omega, and we could see some kind of turn of some sort or something like that. So I was kind of had my head up for an angle alert. Thankfully, they didn't go that route, although they still kind of fucked it up, in my opinion. The crowd is going crazy. Right away, they're chanting, "This is awesome. Holy shit." They haven't even done anything yet. Just them in the ring. I thought the build-up to this match was really good. I think the addition of using Ibushi and that really great match Ibushi and Okada had on Dynamite a couple weeks ago was really smart. And I wasn't into this angle at all, to be honest with you. To me, I felt going into this match when they announced it, first of all, Okada doesn't deserve to be in this position based on his work that he's had over the year. I don't think he has the aura that he had before, and I don't think that. So I think somebody else would benefit more from it. Then they did that angle where Omega had the ridiculous amount of blood capsule in his mouth, and I thought this was so cartoonish. I didn't like that either. But with Ibushi coming back in, they redid the Golden Lovers hug that we saw in New Japan years ago. And I think it really has helped this match. The addition of Don Callis for the first time, I think potentially in AEW, really helped make this more than it would have been on its own. And I really, really like this match a lot. I love that they didn't try to recreate what they did before. They wanted to have a new match all on their own, a match that showed, hey, we are older. Hey, we have been hurt. Hey, we are not where we were in 2018. But even still, we have to fight to see who's better now. And I thought that they did a great job of doing that. The one thing that makes me not love this match was the interference spot with Don Callis. You did this exact same crap with Omega and Ospreay's AEW match at the Forbidden Door originally. And you did it here again. You didn't need to do this. The match was going fine on its own. You had an easy target for Okada to win heelishly with the diverticulitis in the gut, which he did a really good job selling, by the way. I have to give Omega a lot of credit. He sold his stomach and his ribs so expertly here that it made the match a lot better. You had the big moments. You had the Dragon Suplex from the top. You had the Kreutz Wrath, which he nearly won with, but he couldn't hold it. But then you had Rocky run out, Don Callis run out. I just thought it was a lame ending, and in the end, Rainmaker gets the win for Okada. I really liked it, but I think it could have been really great if we didn't have the interference. Instead, I just thought it was a really strong match. I would have this 8 out of 10, 8.66 from the inmates. What did you think?
I am different than you on this. And I think it's because it was kind of the culmination of a lot of my current frustrations with like Omega and his style of match. Yeah. Like I am really over this gut midsection selling thing, and it feels like every single Omega match now is hit, like it's very much feeling the same to me, where no matter who the foil is, they are going to work over the midsection because that's what they have to do, because he had diverticulitis, in case you didn't fucking know. The Alice interference killed anything that they had going for me. I don't see, like, for as much as, like, we talked about AEW caring about history, right? And like doing the Firefly thing, them putting interferences like a Don Callis into an Okada and Omega match shows to me that they give fuck all about the legacy of Okada and Omega. But I completely see, like, I did not see your perspective at all, but I really appreciate your perspective. And it makes me want to go back and actually watch the match and see what I think about it in that sense. Is two men who couldn't go the same, because I was definitely expecting them to do something on a comparable level.
Yeah, and I think that they knew that they couldn't do that. So at least how I read this match, and even how they worked it, really. I mean, we got that brief flurry with the suplex from the top and the Kreutz Wrath, but really it was a toned down version of their past matches. If you compare it to that, then I don't think there's any way you could say this match was as good as the 2 out of 3 falls, let's just say, which is my favorite match of theirs. But they have some others that people love a lot. But I don't think it was supposed to, though. Like, maybe I'm wrong. It's not like I'm in Kenny Omega's head and know what he plotted out for this match. But at least that's how I personally felt it. Like, they know they cannot compare to that. So they're going to do this toned down version of the match, which I think was working so well on its own before the stupid interferences. I agree with you completely on that. And I can see where you're coming from. If you're looking at it from that angle, if you came in expecting the Dome main event level match, yeah, this was not that. I just thought it was good in a different way. But I do see your reasoning for it, and I totally agree with a lot of what you said, actually. I do think it's time to switch it up. That's why I said I think a Golden Lovers run would be really great for him. You don't have to hit the nail on the head so much. With this one, you had to, though, because of the angle they did. When they injured his ribs or his midsection or whatever. Like, they made that already the story of the match. I would like to see some matches where that's not a part of it, though. I totally agree with you on that end. We've done it over and over. We know he's got the diverticulitis. let's do something a little different. And I hope that they do that. And I would like to see a tag run coming out of this because I don't need to see another Omega singles match like this where he's doing that again. I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think a tag run could definitely help mask some of these issues in terms of the repetition that we're getting out of these Omega matches now.
I totally agree with that. What number would you give this?
I'd go 6.5, 7.
Yeah, and I don't think that's unfair at all. We go to the main event. The first thing did you notice Hangman's music?
Was it different?
Babyface Hangman music back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've completed his turn back. He went away from the Black Hat theme to the babyface one here. And he comes out wearing white pants, so you know there's going to be some blood right away. Moxley comes in. Marina Shafir's there. She's interfering. Moxley pulls out a fork. Then Hangman pulls out a fork. And Paige just stabs him in the head with the fork over and over. You see the blood spots popping up. It was so great, so incredibly violent. It was sick, and it was fucking awesome. We get barbed wire going in there. Tries to put the barbed wire in his mouth, but then brings it into his forehead. Marina comes in, attacks Hangman some more. They're both bleeding like crazy. Moxley has a barbed wire chair and wedges it in between the turnbuckles. And he ends up kicking Paige into it. Marina helps John set up a table at the end of the day. And suddenly they come in and Moxley calls for Marina to grab something. We see a bag of broken glass. Moxley grabs some glass and just rubs it in Hangman's bloody face. He looks for a pile driver, but then Hangman goes down. He just like shoves his, wash. Gives him a face wash into the glass. Then hits the pile driver. Hits another pile driver. They're going crazy with chairs. He ends up going with barbed wire through the back, and then Hangman hits a power bomb into the chairs set up back to back, which makes a huge loud sound. Yuta comes in to blast Hangman with a chair. Hangman does a great no-sell of it. You fucked up. Chance come to Yuta. He hits the barbed wire. He hits barbed wire on his elbow. Hits the elbow strike to Yuta with the barbed wire. Angel's wings to Moxley. Then we get Hangman. Grabs Marina. Hits the Death Valley driver through a table on there. Which is a play off of the angle they did a couple of weeks ago where Hangman hit the buckshot on Marina. The announcers went crazy. I think they learned from it the first time. Because the first time they had Hangman drop Marina, the announcers were like shocked by it. It was like they thought that was like a heel move, pretty much. And they were like, he's gone to the dark side to fight evil with evil and bullshit like that. But the reality is, Marina did great harm to Hangman throughout months and months, and the whole company, and him specifically in this match. To the point of him stopping her was a babyface spot to the crowd. Like, in storyline, this was so deserved from a wrestler. Not necessarily the man-on-woman violence part of it. I don't think many fans were even that up in arms over this because of how they set it up. And they called it as such here, unlike on the TV show. So Claudio comes out then. There's a bed of nails that they set up. Ospreay flies in. Gabe Kidd counters that. Claudio hits the stomp for the chair, just like Joe. So again, this was not creative. They did the exact same spot to Ospreay to take him out on a stretcher as they did to Joe at the start of the show. I wish they had done something different to make it more special coming in there. Everybody's down. They both get up at 9. They're all bloodied. He hits the Death Rider into the chair. Another long, drawn-out 9 count. We see Yuta pull out the plastic bag that he gives to Moxley, and he's trying to strangle him. Then we see a video cut in to Darby Allin on Mount Everest. And he said he's coming to take everything from him. Then suddenly Bryan Danielson runs in a Blue Panther mask, making no effort at all to hide who he is. He does the yes chants, hits the Busaiku knee, beats the hell out of everybody. Darby comes in with the Sting entrance from the ceiling, hits the coffin drop. Everybody cleans house. Buckshot lariat, Deadeye through the table. Young Bucks come in to interfere. Suddenly, Marina goes for something. Prince Nana handcuffs her. Swerve comes out, saves the day. Buckshot lariat. Chain wrapped around the throat of Moxley. Moxley taps. Huge pop. And they cut to Swerve looking smug and a little bit mixed, but mostly pleased. I saw this. This is like the ending to every Disney movie. Like the bully shows respect to the nerd when the nerd gets the girl at the end. That's exactly what this was. Swerve showed respect to Hangman, climactically helping him to win the title to a huge reaction, one of the biggest in AEW history. I will say this. I was sports entertained by this match. But what did you think? You're muted again.
I am muted. Sorry about that. I would go 8 out of 10 on this. I think that it had a little bit too much interference sports entertainment for me. But the core elements were so good. The moment that it created was fantastic. Do you think that Danielson sticks around?
I think he'll stick around at least for the short term. I think he'll at least... Maybe it'll just be so the Death Riders can kill him again. But I think this isn't the last we've seen of him. I think for the next month or so, he'll be in for storylines, maybe even a match at All Out. But I don't see that much beyond that. What do you think?
I really hope he does, just because I miss him.
Most importantly, yes, I miss him very much. Wish he would be on every week, yes.
Have they done Blood and Guts yet this year? I forgot.
No, they haven't done that. Yeah, you're totally right. They did Anarchy in the Arena, but not Blood and Guts. That would be a great all-out main event, perhaps.
Yeah. Finish the Death Riders once and for all.
And that's kind of the thing, because after this, there's just nowhere else this group can go, I feel like. Like they basically served their purpose in storylines. You got the big moment. Hangman looks like a hero. Swerve and Hangman are on the same page. Ospreay sacrificed himself. The ghosts of the past all came back to fuck over Moxley. There just isn't that much left for the group to do at this point. Maybe have a Darby Mox match. Kind of like, seal up that thread. Or like you said, just Blood and Guts and have Bryan and Darby with whatever team they want to do there with that. And just send the Death Riders packing. I think that's the best way to go about it. But yeah, as a match...
Final hurrah.
Yeah. As a match, this has this is the highest rated match on the show, 9.66 rating. Which I think is too high.
That's fucking crazy.
Like you said, to me, this was too similar to Cody finishing the story to me.
Yes.
Where you had all these people running, and we knew that was going to happen too. Like, we knew this was not going to be anything but a fucked up match with a million different run-ins. The blood and all that stuff and the violence was there, and you got the huge moment. That doesn't really make it a great full match, though, to me. On top of it, even before all the interferences, Marina, it was practically a handicap match. Like, for the first part of the match, with Marina, Mox versus Hangman. Where were you then? Why wasn't somebody there to help? Like, where wasn't Willow? Why wasn't Willow running out to help? Like, I don't. And the thing is, I was really shocked to see people online and on Twitter and stuff talk about how great the Death Rider storyline has actually been. When, like, let's be real here. Hangman, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe, Darby, these guys were already super over. Like, the Death Riders didn't get these guys over. Like, they were already super over baby faces. They just had a terrible storyline for much of our run. I think people were legitimately afraid that Mox would win here.
Yes, dude. Once Darby came on the screen, I was like, "Holy fuck, Hangman's losing."
That to me showed me that I thought Hangman was going to win for sure at that point. I think if Darby was going to come out, it would have been after the match. Like if Hangman was going to lose, Darby would have came out after the match. But they rightfully made the decision and said, no, Hangman needs to win here, which was the right call. I think we both totally agree with that. But I just think that this was your Avengers moment. You know, the good versus evil, all coming to a head. But that doesn't mean most of this didn't suck. Like, everything up until basically that coat match was awful. It really did a lot of damage. I wish that Orange Cassidy had been here for this as one more ghost from the past, in addition to Darby and Bryan. I think he deserves some credit because he was kind of like sacrificed as a babyface to be the first one on this Death Riders shit run that they had.
Yeah.
And they didn't even give him a spot here, and I think that sucks. But overall, like I said, if you go by this storyline, there's so much bad storytelling and so many holes and so many things that didn't work out that was changed on the fly. Things that went against what they said, but it inadvertently ended up accomplishing what they kind of said at the start by bringing the demon out of Hangman and making him the world champion again. So this moment in this match worked, but I still think you could have gotten the same great moment and great crowning angle for Hangman and not had the months of garbage Death Rider stuff before it. I don't think you can give Death Riders credit for making Will Ospreay and Hangman and Swerve over as babyfaces. I'm sorry. I don't know what your take is on that. Like, what's your overall thoughts on the Death Riders angle now that it's reached its peak here?
The second half has been better than the first half, for sure. I think in terms of match quality and just overall feeling. Do I think that this is something I'll remember fondly? No. I think it's definitely rose-tinted glasses to say that this has always been a good, successful run. It was very painful for a while, and it definitely turned people off of the product.
Yeah, I mean, we have evidence of that exact thing here. But a good ending counts for a lot, and we know that.
Yep.
So they nailed the ending. I will give them that. If Mox had won, and they were starting off for Darby to get the win in the end, I think this would be looked upon a lot less fondly, to be honest. But I'm with you. To me, this is like a 7 out of 10 main event, maybe an 8. Like, the effort is there, but you have to throw off all possible logic and psychology to get to the feel-good moment of Hangman winning. Overall, though, for All In 2025, All In Texas, y'all in, as some people say, 9.06 rating on Cage Match. What's your overall thoughts on the show as we close it down?
I liked it a lot. I'd probably go like 7.5, 8 out of 10. I thought it was another great AEW pay-per-view. I don't think it reached quite the level of a Double or Nothing, but
I agree with that.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's still a very enjoyable show. The length was definitely felt. They gave everything the time that it probably deserved, if not a little bit too much. But they let everything breathe for better or worse. And in the end, I really enjoyed this show. I had a great time with friends, so very positive.
And they've set stuff up for the future. You had a great idea with Blood and Guts. They're clearly setting up Hangman versus the MJF. Even if I don't love that match, I'm glad that they have a plan at least. That's something to be praised. Fletcher's probably taking that belt from Dustin pretty soon. So they've got stuff set up. And maybe, like I said, like you said, Blood and Guts in the future. So they've got stuff set up. I would give it about an 8 out of 10 as well. I don't think this was as good as Double or Nothing. Nothing on this show was as good as either of the last two matches on Double or Nothing, in my opinion. I loved the tag. I enjoyed the triple main events. Like, I enjoyed all of them at one level or another. But there was a lot of downtime with the tag titles, or the TNT was just a gut punch. And I personally didn't like the men's gauntlet that much. So, like, it was an up and down show, but nothing truly, like, great. But on the other hand, you did get an all-time great moment with Hangman getting the belt, which, how funny would it have been when he had pulled out the briefcase? What if he couldn't get it open? Because he struggled with it at first.
I thought that he couldn't get it open at first, and then he opened it, and I was like, thank God.
Yeah, that would have been so hilarious if he couldn't get it open after all this time.
Dude, that would have just... Don't even joke about it. But no, it was... I was very happy with the end result. I come out of this show very excited for what's next for AEW, and I'm definitely going to try and make a concerted effort to watch everything that they're doing.
Did you notice when he pulled out the belt, it had Bryan Danielson's name on it?
Yes, I really like that touch. Like, Moxley never took off those plates or added anything, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I just wish they had a more reasonable storyline for why it's been in this briefcase all these months. Because to me, this was like, yes, it got a huge pop, and you had the pyro and all of that, but it's almost like a cheap pop to me. It's like, of course, people are going to pop seeing it when you've had it in a briefcase for a dumbass year almost. I don't know. I know a lot of people love that, and it got a big pop, but it just felt it's like too easy to me, and it didn't really mean that much. But they did chant, "You deserve it." Hangman felt like a hero. Swerve looks like a great friend hero as well. It was good storytelling in the main event itself. Just by having it in the logic of a wrestling match, that's where there were some quibbles. But overall, a great show. Like you, I'd say a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. I'd go an 8 firmly. You got the big moment. Even the stuff I didn't like worked for a lot of the fans. And like you said, ultimately, coming off All In, we're both very hype about what's going forward in this company. And I think that should be the ultimate goal of any show like this. I mean, coming off of WrestleMania, we were dreading what was to come with Cena's heel turn at the end, and this was almost the opposite of that. But yeah, a lot of people love the show, obviously. And I was hyped to watch it. I'm glad we did this review. Like I said, I personally really needed it. Literally, I came from Ken's funeral to watching this show. So, from that level, it's going to have a special place in my heart forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I'll always remember. And I love the show that we got from it. And I'm glad we got the chance to talk about it here. But lots of cool stuff coming in the future. In the very near future, in fact, for us at Wrestle Update, with Evolution coming up, all kinds of WWE news. What do you want to say to all the people before we get on out of here? As always, it's a tradition on the Wrestle Update. The floor has to go to Nello, the brightest star of all of our lives.
Get excited about pro wrestling. It can be hard sometimes to get excited about things that you watch all the time and you get so used to, but we really are in a golden age with the level of accessibility that we have, the number of promotions there are, the immense amount of talent that there is. So get excited about it. Allow yourself to feel all the good things and just treasure it while it's there.
Get hyped, people. You heard what Nello said. Speaking the truth as Nello always does, as I always do, as you always do, hopefully. I mean, I'm sure there are some criminals and such listening to this, and we accept your patronage.
Crime update.
Crime update will always be in our hearts. But regardless, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Always welcome to send us a message on BlueSky or Twitter, whatever you want to use, or even review the show on Cage Match. We really appreciate those as well. Nothing but love to all the people listening. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed all the AEW coverage this year, all the WWE coverage, all of the indie coverage that we've done, and we're going to get back on our horse very soon. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, you know I love you. And until next time, this has been your Wrestle Update.
I am staying where I get older, but just never wiser. Midnights become my afternoons. When my depression works the graveyard shift, all of the people I ghosted stand there in the room. I should not be left to my own devices. They come with prices and vices. I end up in crisis. I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, 'cause you got tired of my scheming. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero. Sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby, and I'm a monster on the hill. Too big to hang out, slowly lurching toward your favorite city. Pierced to the heart, but never killed. Did you hear my covert narcissism? My disguise is altruism, like some kind of congressman. I'll wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, and life will lose all its meaning. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero. I am the dream my daughter-in-law kills before the money. She thinks I left them in the will. The family gathers around to reads it, and then someone screams out, she's laughing up at us from hell. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. It's me. Hi. Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting.